Hello everyone. Welcome to the Hyderabad Power Apps and Power Automate user group May Meetup. And today we have two sessions, one by Clavin Fernandez and the second one by Vishwanatha Swamy. So today we are going to cover some cool stuff about Power Automate. So Clavin will be talking about extending run scripts action in Power Automate. And then followed by that, we'll have a session by Swamy where he'll be talking about the Angular 11 concepts. So before that, let's start with Clevin. So Clevin, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Ritika. So, hello, Hyderabad, and hello to everyone who has joined, and welcome to Hyderabad Power Apps and Power Automate user group. Today's session is about extending the run script action in Power Automate. So, a quick intro about me. My name is Clavin, and I work as a technical consultant at Rapid Circle. I'm also the technical support manager at Mohembi. I have worked with almost all BPM platforms that integrate with SharePoint, mainly in Intex, K2, and now Power Platform. I share my knowledge on my blog, that is clavinfernandez.wordpress.com. I also have a YouTube channel. And coming to the community contribution, I am a Power Automate super user. You can find my social handles at the right hand of the screen, so feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook. So what is the agenda for today? First and foremost, we'll understand the basic of Office scripts because this session is based out on scripting or executing code from Power Automate. Secondly, we'll understand how we can return a value from Office script editor back to Power Automate and pass in the data to the editor itself. Finally, we'll go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of TypeScript magic in Power Automate. And the best part, we have demos, so we'll address real life scenarios. So first and foremost, prerequisites. You need to have Excel on web. So this is only supported on web version of Excel, not in the desktop version. You need to have OneDrive for Business because these scripts are stored in OneDrive. Then you need to have an Office 365 license. You can see the list out here. And finally, you need to have access to Power Automate. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the slides. Let me go ahead and minimize my presentation. And let me go to the admin center for Office 365. So first and foremost, the first question that comes to your mind is, do I have Excel script enabled? Or I need to activate Excel scripts or Office scripts? How do I do that? So you go to the settings under the Office 365 admin center. You go into the org settings and you search for Office scripts. So let me scroll down. Yes, here it is. So firstly, if this is the first time that you are doing this, and if it's not activated, it might take around 48 hours. Usually I see it's done in like 5 to 6 hours, but at the most 48. Secondly, if you're an admin, you don't want to go ahead and activate Office scripts to everyone in your organization because of security reasons, then you can do it for a specific group of people. Finally, you can also go ahead and allow sharing of Office scripts. For example, if you are a Power developer and you are not an expert in TypeScript, then you might want to share your script with an internal developer. He can review it. Don't worry, he cannot make direct changes to your script. He'll make a local copy of the script, make changes, and then he can send it back to you. So that's pretty much about Office scripts, how to get it activated. Now, next thing, Office scripts run within the context of Excel. Okay, now this sounds crazy. You're going to go ahead and use Excel as a code editor out here, okay? And the code editor can be found under the Automate tab. So if you have an Automate tab, you can go ahead and say that you have Excel scripts or Office scripts enabled. So you have a record action, you have few scripts out here, you have all script. Whenever you go ahead and record a script, it gets stored in your OneDrive. So documents and Office script folder. So all of the scripts are out here. These are the scripts, right? So let's go ahead and create a script using the recorder. So when you use a recorder, you can go ahead and manipulate data within Excel. Okay, so when I click out here, nothing gets recorded. Take a note of it. However, when I go ahead and type in something such as product, and price, you'll see that this will get updated as soon as I move the cell to a different position, right? A1 and B1. So let me add a product and let me add a price, right? So, and if I stop the script out here, you'll see that a code editor opens up and here you have a script. Okay, so you can edit it and here you have a script. So this looks familiar, right? This looks like functions or JavaScript or TypeScript, right? And if I go ahead and remove this, and if I replay it, you'll see that within few seconds, the tuples get filled in and you have the script out here, which has created all the values for you. Now, this is very good. This is what we need, but this session is not about Office scripts. If you want to learn about Office scripts, I did a different session at SPS event. You can have a look at that particular session. This is about extending Office scripts to do much more. And the best way to extend Office script is by using Power Automate. So let me go ahead and quickly create a flow for you. And you need to go ahead and invoke the script from Flow or Power Automate. So you can go ahead and use Excel for business action. Remember that. That's what you need. And I'll type in run script. So run script is the action which is used to invoke the Office script from an external source like Power Automate. Okay. So as I told you, we need to give it a location. So you already know it. The script editor is in Excel. So we need to go ahead and select an Excel file on which we are going to run the script. In this case, trying to click on it, just, yeah. So it's sample Excel. And if I go back, I'll check the name of the script. It is script 14. Go back. And from the drop down, you'll see that I've been working a lot with Office scripts. So you'll see some scripts out here. So script 14, okay? I'll save the script. I'll go back to Excel. I'll delete it. And if I go to test, and if I try to manually test it, you'll see that once the script goes ahead and runs, if our action runs as expected, you should go ahead and see the values being created here. So let's wait. The flow ran successfully. And if I go back, it's not here because I think the script did not save. So let me save it again. So remember this, sometimes the code editor does not save the script in the first thing. I've seen this happening again and again. So it's always a good practice to go ahead and save your script at least twice so that it works as expected. And here you see within few seconds, our script worked and it created the values. But again, this is not about Office scripts, right? So let me get rid of this. This is about using the run script action with this code editor that you see. So let's take an example out here. Okay, I want to go ahead and return a value from this code editor to Power Automate. How can I do that? So let's look at it. So let's take a very simple example. I'm going to create a string and I'll just put in a text. And trust me, returning values are very easy and it can be done using the return keyword. And you also saw that in the code editor, IntelliSense is there. So IntelliSense, your friend, is there to guide you. And I'll return this back. Okay. Save the script again. Let me try to save it twice because you already saw it. Sometimes on the first instance, it just does not go ahead and save the script. I'll try to manually run it. So no need to change anything in the script editor, right? I made changes to the same script. So if everything goes as expected, I should expect a value, a string, returned by the code editor into the run script action. So let's scroll down. And you see this? You can now talk to the code editor using Power Automate. Now this is super cool, right? But I need to pass data from Power Automate into the code editor. How can I do that? That's a question that might come into your mind. So what I'll do is that I'll get rid of this action first. I'll go back to my Excel script code editor. And if I want to go ahead and get values from the run script action, I need to define a variable in the main function. Okay. So I'll go ahead and say str1 of type string, right? So then let's go ahead and do something like let str new of type string, and let's go ahead and maybe concat str, which is there out here, with str1, which is going to come from Power Automate, right? So I need to put an R. So str1. So you see, even if there's an error, this code editor actually helps you out. It gives you a red squiggly. And finally, I'm going to return str new. Right? I'm going to save the script. So the script seems to be saved. I'll save it again. I'll go back to my Power Automate portal, go to Excel for Business, and again add in the run script action. I'll go ahead and select my site collection, again, the document library, the file which holds the script, or you need an Excel file to run the script, and then I'll go ahead and select my script number 14. Right? So let's wait. And here you see magic, right? You have a tuple named as str1 and you can pass the data in here. So what I can say is that this is a string from Power Automate, and I can save the script. So now you know how to go ahead and pass data into the code editor, into the Office script code editor, which is embedded within Excel. You can do a concatenation operation and it should return you the value back, right? So let's see. Let's wait for the output. And here you see you have an output, right? A concatenated output, which tells, okay, this text is code editor and this is a string from Power Automate. So the basics are covered. You need to know how to pass data into the script. You know how to return the data from the code editor. Now what next? Now let's get into a demo. So when talking to one of our customer, he was a Power Apps user. He came to Power Automate to do some cool stuff out here. And he went to the compose action. And he went into expression tabs. And he typed in round. He wanted to round the number. He wanted to do complex calculation, but he wanted to round the number, as easy as that. But he could not find a function. The function is available in Power Apps, but not in Power Automate. So he went to the internet and he found that there is an idea submitted by someone that round should be available even in Power Automate. So he was a little bit confused. He was thinking of math formulas of how to round the number. And yes, using math formulas, you can indeed do it. But let's go ahead and use Office script or the code editor, which is there out here, to go ahead and round up a number. So first and foremost, I need to make changes to my script. So first and foremost, I'm not going to go ahead and pass a string, right? I'm going to go ahead and pass a number. So number. And let me go ahead and get rid of this, and even let me get rid of this. So now let's think of something. This script editor, if you looked closely, looks like a TypeScript editor, and it is a TypeScript editor. Office script is based on TypeScript. And TypeScript is a subset of, you can say, JavaScript. It's strongly typed, right? That's why you use num as number. But if I go ahead and type math, I see there's an interface, right? So if I type dot, I get all the math formulas that I need, right? Everything is available out here when it comes to doing math operations. So if I go to the internet and if I go ahead and search for round, you see this is how I can use the round function, right? I just need to pass in the number and it should return me an output like 1. So let's go back to the code editor and try this out. So I'll type in round. IntelliSense, my friend, is here to help me. So I can just click. And I want to go ahead and pass in what? I want to pass in num. Now, people have asked me, Clavin, how do you go ahead and troubleshoot within this code editor? So first and foremost, what I do is that I'll go ahead and first initialize a number out here. So num is equals to maybe 4.6, right? Then math.round. And then let me assign this to a variable. Let num1 of type number is equals to math.round, right? And if I want to go ahead and see the output, it's as easy as this. I do console.log in the code editor, and I go ahead and pass in this value, right? So if I run the script now, technically, I should have a value of 5, right? That's what it comes out as. It's rounded 4.6 to 5, and here you have it. You have a number which is rounded off. So you have gone ahead and addressed this problem. Now, this problem has to be addressed from Power Automate as well. So I'll go back to my code editor. I'll remove this. I don't need this. Remove this as well. I should actually name this a little bit better. So round num. And I'll go ahead and return the value back to Power Automate, right? So I'll return round num. Let's save my script. The script is same, script 14. So I'll just go ahead and put in something like 4. Okay, let's make it a different number, 7.5. And I'll add the run script action again. I'll add my file is there in the documents folder. The file name is Excel. And the script is 14. Now you'll be wondering, why do I go ahead and I always put this in? The tuples that I go ahead and change do not go ahead and update dynamically unless I go ahead and remove and add the action again, okay, in real time. So script is 14. So if the script has saved correctly, it should give me an option to pass in a number, and it did. So that's good. So I'll just pass in the output out here, and let's save it. So the number that we are going to pass is 7.6. Go ahead and manually start my flow. And I'll run my Power Automate. So let's wait and let's see if it gives us the right output. So I passed in 7.5 and the result is 8. So here you have it, right? Here you have an idea of if you have some very complex math calculations. I know you can do it using Power Automate, but very complex, very, very complex, then you can use the Office script editor and go ahead and do the calculation and pass the value back, right? So this is how you can go ahead and address this particular scenario. Now let's go to another scenario. Let's go ahead and understand another scenario out here. One of the customer went ahead and told me, Clavin, I have a file, and in the file, magically, there were special characters being added. Okay, the special characters were at the rate, maybe that was a dollar symbol, maybe a curly bracket, maybe few hashtags, anything, right? And he told me, I want to go ahead and get rid of these characters. And I was like, okay, use replace. He said, Clavin, I can use replace, but I don't know what the characters are. I want something to do like I pass in a whole chunk of special characters in, and Power Automate goes ahead and removes all the special characters. And I was like, now this sounds interesting. How many replace? Maybe an array, loop through the special characters, find it, replace it with an empty string, and so on. So I said, okay, let me think. And I went back to my friend, the code editor, the Office script code editor, and I went ahead and tried thinking about something. So I said, okay, if math calculations can be done, I think we can also go ahead and address this particular scenario. So I went to the internet and I went ahead and searched for something like TypeScript, maybe replace. Yeah. So I went ahead and typed in TypeScript replace, and then maybe I can open this link. And I found that I can use the replace. I can search a value. The search a value can be a normal value, as well as I think we can pass in a regular expression. So you see, you can pass in a regular expression. So this actually went ahead and got me an idea. Let's go ahead and search for a regular expression which can help me replace values of special characters. So I went to the internet again, replace special characters in JavaScript using regex, right? So I went here, I found stack. I went to stack and I saw, okay, there are regular expressions which I can use, right? This one may be, yeah. So what I did, I went back to my code editor and I said, okay, possible. So I went ahead and copied in this particular sample code. I'm just going to paste it in, not going to type it all. And here you see, I'll just change this to str, and this has to be of type string. Right. So here you see, before I return it, you can also comment out when you're testing it. So here you see is that I passed in approximately the same string, and I'm going to go ahead and save it. And I'm going to run it. Whoa, special characters are gone. How much time did it take me to go ahead and think about it? Maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I created a solution. Wow. Right. So if you think of anything that can be done using TypeScript, JavaScript, go to the internet, search for it, and then try to execute it in the code editor. Once you execute it within the code editor, go ahead and plumb it with the Power Automate. We are going to do that. So let's do that. So I'll just go ahead and add the run script action. You already know how to do it. So I've done it many times. And pass in the values from your Power Automate, process the values, and pass the values back. So let me select. And can you just imagine we are using Excel to go ahead and run the Excel is a code editor. Okay, so thank you, Excel team. Thank you to the Office Script team to giving us such a good tool. And I would say this will surely empower the power users, because I have gone ahead and showed you a few scenarios, right? So str, and I'm going to pass it in. Let's make the script, the string a little bit more funky. I'll just type in Clavin, maybe dash Fernandez, and let's save it. So str, everything looks good. So I can just manually run it. And within few seconds, if everything has worked as expected, we should have a clean little script, a clean little string out here. So yeah, it gave me the old string because why? Any guesses? I have hard coded it here. So I need to get rid of this. Need to save the script again, remember. So that's why Clavin Fernandez did not come back. I'm going to just run it again. Automatic, let's do it automatic from the previous run so that we can save some time. And if now it worked, if the script saved back there in the code editor, we should have a clean script. Yeah, you see, all the special characters are gone, right? The result is here in front of you. So this is these are very two small examples, but just look at it. It's very powerful. You can go ahead and extend it to whatever you think. This is just a start, right? So let me go ahead and share with you a real life scenario. I work as a technical support manager for Mohimbi. So we do document conversions a lot, right? So I had a call with one of the principal, and he showed me an Excel file. He showed me a CSV file. And he told me, Clavin, our teachers go ahead and enter the data in the CSV file. and the CSV file has got rows, and each row means grades for a particular student. I want to create report cards. I want to do it using Power Automate. I want to print it out as a PDF, but individual rows, right? And I was like, okay, printing, Mohembi, we can do it, right? So I just went ahead and thought about it. Now, first I went to Power Automate to go ahead and see if there is an action out of the box that can go ahead and pass CSV. I did not find it. I went to the internet. I found an idea out here, and the idea had around 526 upvotes, right? And it's not yet done, it's new. So Microsoft is thinking about it. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a little bit challenging. This is going to be a little bit difficult. But then I said, okay, I have a powerful tool that I've learned, Office Scripts, Code Script Editor, Run Script. Let's go ahead and try something with that. So I'll go back to my Power Automate. So first and foremost, the exam grades. Where is it stored? It's stored in my SharePoint. So let me first get the file. So to get the file, I need to use SharePoint action. I need the CSV, right? I need the CSV data in my Power Automate. That's very important. So I'm trying to get it. So get file content using path. I can use this. And I can say, I can select my site collection. So give me, it's thinking about it. Yeah, it's come up. So Hyderabad, and the file is located in a folder known as shared documents and exam grades. So if I go ahead and add a compose action out here, and if I put in the values of file content, and if I try to manually run it, it should go ahead and get me back the CSV value. But the value that you'll see out here would not be in a CSV or in a text format, right? Because Power Automate returns a base 64-bit string, and it's a content, right? So I need to work with content. So first and foremost, I need to go ahead and edit this. So let me go ahead and create an expression. So let's convert this base 64. I want to convert it into a string, right? So what I want to convert into a string, let me get rid of this. I want to convert this. And finally, we'll go to the end of it. And here, let me just get the content, right? So I want to get dollar content. So if now I'm right, my expression works, I should have the content in the form of a string, and it should go ahead and give me the actual values as it is visible in the Excel file, something like this. So let's go back to Power Automate. Let me go back to the compose, and here you see, yeah, the values are back. They are comma separated. Now I have a string. Now what I want to do is that I want to get individual rows out of the string. So what comes to your mind, right? Let's put in the developer's hat right now. I would say, what if I can convert this particular code, text or CSV file into JSON? JSON object will go ahead and return us key value pairs of individual rows, right? But how can I go ahead and convert it into JSON? CSV to JSON, there's no direct action. Here, you can put your developer's hat on again, and you can say that I can use the Excel run script action. But now you will see, Clavin, I don't know much of coding. How can I go ahead and find, how can I do that? So I would say it's not that difficult when you have a friend known as Google or Bing. So I can just say, okay, JavaScript CSV to JSON. And on Stack, you'll go ahead and find a code sample. And if you look at this code sample, thank you to someone who has posted it. So Mr. Smith, thank you. So you see out here, it is a sample which I can use within the Excel script editor in my Power Automate. So what I'll do is that I'll copy it. I have it on my clipboard. So the same thing, I've just removed out the comments. I'll go back. Yeah, here. And I'll go ahead and paste it. So now I'm going ahead and passing CSV data. Just let me change this CSV data, right? So here you see, I've not even gone ahead and made it let. I've not even made it strongly typed, but still my code editor does not go ahead and complain. So if you have something like JavaScript out there, this will also work in the code editor, right? I'll save the script. That's it. Just to be safe, saving it twice. Going back to my Power Automate. So SharePoint Hyderabad. Going ahead and getting this and going ahead and selecting a file on which I can run the script. And the script is again the same. We are just working with one script, making changes over and over. And I'll save it. Right? When I save it, it complains. It tells me I have a mandatory field that I need to pass. And it's CSV data. That's fine. I have the CSV data in the output. I should actually rename it. So CSV data, and I can just say save. And now I can go ahead and try to test it. Perfect. So let's see if everything works, if it does not complain, and if the demo gods are happy with me, I should have a key value pair. And yes, it seems all of them are happy with me today. So I'll just open Notepad. And here I'll paste in the value. And here you see I have a key value pair out here. Now you see an additional last name. We'll go ahead and address this as well. But out here, I have a key value pair and a JSON array, right? Half work done. We just have to address this thing. So let's go ahead and address it. We need to go ahead and clean the data. I know what the problem is. If you look at my code out here, I'm splitting it with a comma, and the last value did not have a comma. Okay, that was the problem. So, and it also had an additional, maybe a white space. That's why. So let's go ahead and address those. So I'll say to trim the white space. Now, you developers out there, you can go ahead and address this even in the run script, or even in the Excel code editor, but I would do it rather in Power Automate because it's much easier. So I'll just concat. This is a string. Finally, I'll concat a comma. I'll close it. Okay, close it at the end. Yeah, this looks good. Update. And I'll save it. Go ahead and manually start it again. And let's see the output. I should have a JSON array. I already have a JSON array, but I should have a well more formatted JSON array. Okay, that's what I'm looking out for. And if you see, the performance of the script is very fast, right? It's swift. It's 3 seconds and boom, you get the value back. So here, I'll just get rid of this. And now it looks good. It looks very good, in fact. So now what I can do is that I can go to Power Automate and get individual rows. It's an array, right? So I can pass the array to parse JSON action. So parse JSON action out here. And I'm going to generate it from sample. So the sample is the one which I have copied it onto my notepad. I can just go ahead and paste it in. I'll hit done. I can go ahead and get the results. The results are stored in the results. So now I should have an array. That means I should have individual items. It should give me the individual items out. So I'm going to go ahead and compose the report card. Okay, so just rename it. First, I'll compose it in HTML. HTML report card. So I have an HTML ready. I'm not going to type it all because it's basic HTML report card. And here you see, I get individual values, right? I get last name, first name. So let me go ahead and just point the values. And here you see an apply to each loop has been added because it's an array. It will have values in it. And technically, it should have rows in it, right? So let me just quickly fill it in. Great. Perfect. Save. Now, next, what I want to do. So technically, I have 9 values and one is the header. So 9 values. So let me go back to Power Automate and let me go ahead and even convert it into PDF. So I'm going to use Mohembi actions. So Mohembi converter can do much more than just conversion. You can go ahead and cross convert documents. You can go ahead and OCR documents. You can add watermarks. You can secure documents. You can merge documents. Okay, much more with this particular connector. So I'm going to go ahead and use the convert document action. I'm going to go ahead and give it a file name. So first name, maybe dash last name dot HTML. I'm going to pass in HTML. And finally, the file content would be the output of the HTML report card action, which it is. And then I'll finally go ahead and create the report cards back into SharePoint. So SharePoint, create file action out here. Let me go ahead and search for a place in the site collection. So I have a scorecard library out here. It's empty. So this should be good to show my report cards. So Hyderabad site collection. Folder path would be scorecards. The file name would be the base file name, which is returned by the Mohembi action. So I can say PDF. And the file content would be the processed file content. So I'll save it. And this is going to be the moment of truth. If everything works, then we should have how many files? We should have 9 files as PDFs in the document library. So let's go ahead and run it. I'm just running it now. So let's wait. First and foremost, let's look at the apply to each loop. I'll expand it. And here you see we have 9. So perfect. 9 values from the CSV file, 9 rows out here, right? I have 9 rows. Just consider he had 100. No problem. 100 rows will be here. So let's wait. While it's running, in fact, I can go back here, or I can go back here, and you see the files are getting created one by one. And if I open the file out here, you see there are values and the final one is grade minus D minus. So let's compare it. So D minus 4983. Okay. So going back, 4983 D minus. Here you have it. You have gone ahead and addressed a problem which is requested and which has 526 votes. Are you not feeling powerful right now? Tell me honestly. Yes, right? So this is the final demo. I hope that this session was informative. But before we go ahead and conclude the session, I have one slide to show you. So, sorry. So this slide, remember, there is a limitation on the calls, right? You have 400 calls for unscript action per day from Power Automate. And it resets always at 12 a.m. UTC. So if you can do stuff in Power Automate, stick to it. The stuff that you cannot do, or if it's very complex, go ahead and use the run script action. I hope that they remove this limit in the future, but as of now, just stick to it. And finally, I would like to say thank you to Yash, Ritika, and Hyderabad Power Apps and Power Automate user group for having me here. Thank you for the opportunity. And all of you guys, stay safe and happy power automating.
Thank you, Clavin. That was really insightful. I mean, even I was not aware of these scripts, but it was really helpful. Thank you so much for presenting.
You're welcome. So do we have any questions out there who wants to ask? Or
Yep, we have one on the chat. So, are there any licensing implications on using scripts and
so
any
these
tips to keep? I'm sorry,
yeah
that was like
yeah
a single question.
yeah so these are the licensing that you need. That's why I added a slide on your screen. So you need Office 365 license. You need to have access on Power Automate. and you need Excel on web. If you're doing it on desktop, you have RPA, right? Power Automate desktop, where you can run code in there. So you don't need this. This is only in cloud. If you're doing so, the main benefit out here, just to explain, is that first, if you need to run a code snippet, you need to go to Azure Functions, or maybe go ahead and call maybe an Azure automation script. But here, not you can go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of code for your Power Automate, and then go ahead and do things with it which can help you, right? So you don't need to have an Azure subscription. You just need to have an Office 365 license. They are listed here.
Okay. Thank you, Clavin, for answering that. And I hope, Neha, that solves your question. We don't have any other questions on the chat, but guys, if you have any questions for Clavin, please reach out to him. I have highlighted his Twitter handle on the screen, so you can connect him there. And if you have any queries, just connect him.
Perfect. So yes, so I think it's time for the next speaker, Swamy. So I'll go ahead and leave the stage, and it's over to you, Swamy.
Thank you, Clavin. So next up we have Swamy, and he's going to talk about how you can get started with routing in Angular 11 for beginners. So Swamy, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So
Let me share my screen.
yep.
I am sharing my screen. Could you please flash my screen?
Yes, I just added it to this stream.
Wow, thank you. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining on Saturday. This is the 5th session out of 12 what we planned for this year. Okay, so the previous session, whatever we have discussed was here, which was deployed, and what we are going to do today. And the entire source code will be here under Vishy Pylor speaker series. Hyderabad Power Automate and Power Applications 5 underscore introduction to routing 8 May. So you can get back to the parent folder. You see the previous sessions here that will be under speaker series 2021, these 4. And the first episode, if you need, you can come into this year 2020, and you can go to that folder. You will have this one. So the entire series will be here under Vishy Pylor. Today's session will be here. Okay. So we have the latest version of Angular. We just upgraded, and the sessions will be purely hands-on. We'll have a parking lots, and if I'm unable to answer, I'll do some reading and again get back to you. But I'll definitely reply back. And I'm still a learner, and if I do any mistake, I apologize in advance. So what was our previous look and feel? This was the session 4's user interface, which we developed it. And from here, how we proceed. So we had only a single menu option. We didn't have any navigation there. It's just all in one single page. You have everything. The intention of having single page applications is we should be able to navigate without the server side refresh or without the refresh of the entire page. So how are we progressing from this to this? If you see, that was the session 4, and session 5 will create our dashboard. The routing, when we go to the main menu or when you don't give anything, it takes us to the dashboard. And we have employees and professors. So when you click employees, it takes us to this page, and when you click on professors, it takes us to this page. And when you try to navigate to any other page which we did not configure, it routes us to a page not found with a link to home. And again, we will come back to this place. Okay, we have added some spinner just we introduce some delay. And if you see, the previous session has been posted into the Firebase, and where you can go ahead and see. This is the application ng11-webapp.web.app that's being hosted, and we do not have any errors in console. So that was a previous session, and I'll just keep this guy aside. And we have a lot of things to do this time, so we'll see what are we going to do. We just saw what has been hosted there, and from there we'll start doing the cleanup of the previous code session, and we'll introduce what routing is, and we'll create a routing and create a dashboard and start the navigation, and we'll add the navigation to employee as well as the professors page, and we'll add the spinner. Technically, when we are retrieving the content from the backend, we definitely do wait for few milliseconds, at least quarter millisecond or well, 1 second max. Tops will wait for 1 second, and sometimes we have to wait more. That's our unfortunate thing. But ideally, at least we'll wait for a half a second or a quarter second. So instead of staring a blank screen, just at least a loading message we display, and we create a page not found, and we'll deploy today's work, upgrade this to our ng Firebase. Okay, so we saw that. Let's do the cleanup. So let me first go ahead and this is the page. Let me check that because I just started. Sometimes it takes time, so I just let me navigate it here. So this was our previous sessions page. So from here we'll start our journey. So the first thing is we will do a little bit of facelifting to our this one menu option. It has to have a little bit more of the menu options. So let me quickly show you. From there we would like to be something like this. Okay, so let's start doing a cleanup bit by bit. So I'll close this, and let me quickly come back to the professors list. And if I do 50, little bit I'm bumping up the size so that I can see this image a little bit bigger. So I just bumped it up to 50 pixels. And one more small enhancement I would like to do here. The color is black, here it is red. So we'll go to this place, and let's remove the text totally. Okay, let's remove that one total. And here in this class, wherever we have this class, I would like to add text-white. These are bootstrap classes. So now these two looks pretty similar. Both are having the same color font, and also FA2X. So just to bump up the size. Let me close all these things. FA-2X. That's FA-2X. And here also I would like to add FA-2X. So now this icons looks a little bit bigger. Now this is first facelift we did it. Okay, periodically we'll come and check that there are no errors. That's one of the facelift we did it. And the second facelift what we are going to do is we'll do step by step. The second facelift what we will do is we will go ahead and update the style sheets, then modify the header component, and also the styles should impact the footer also. So let me quickly come back to the styles.cs. And let me come back to the styles.cs here. Let me close all and come back to the styles.cs. The first style, what I'm doing is I'm bringing in a couple of things here. I will comment this. That's a background image we had. Now we are changing the background image a little bit, a slight variation, so that this looks a little bit changed. You saw that the variation is a little bit variation is there. We'll fix that. It gets spoiled, but we'll bring it back to its life. Okay, that's the first thing. And then we have the top navigation in the background, and that's few things which we had: span and header. Everything is there. So let's bring these colors too. I will bring in these colors, whatever we have after the body, the top nav bar and other things. I just, including the spinner, will have these things ready. And then the next point is we will go to the component itself. Inside our shade, we have the top nav bar. We'll change this top nav bar. Directly come in here, go to the top nav bar, and did I do a reverse? Second. Did I do reverse? No, that's correct. This is correct. Yeah, right. This is correct. So come back to this top nav bar. It has got only college. From that, let's change to have this college as well as employee. The top nav bar is here, and we need to have this top nav bar overrides. That's the class which we needed. So let's bring in that class from let me stop this. Up the wrong one, I'm sorry. Okay, so we need to have this top nav bar styles inside that component. So component specific styles, as we have seen in the previous session, we'll have the component specific. So what we are telling is we are asking to override the border color. So previously we had a some kind of shade in blue. Now we changed that to, from that we changed it to light blue, so we can see that how was the band was this similar to little bit dark. From there we came to this light blue color, and also on mouse over we are changing this one. So those three are the component specific. So the stop overrides and anchor, the pointer and the white color, and here the over we are saying cyan. So these colors we added it. So the next thing is we will go ahead and look into the styling of our footer. So these are for footers. So let me quickly come back to the footer and go ahead and override that. One particular style is this background blue. So you can see that. So the color was, the band itself is entirely has changed. I'll move this. If you see that how was the band, our branding was from this darker shade, we came into this shade, and also the the style, which was a little bit ash and blue, that we changed it to the lighter color so that the components which on the front side is more visible. Okay, so that's one thing. I will close this so that we have to deal with very less number of things. So at least we have this piece. Did little bit of facelift, not too much, but we don't have any navigation. So whatever I type it here, um, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't see that there is a flickering and it is doing a round trip. You see that there is a full page flickering, as well as that means it's doing a server round trip kind of thing, which it should not do according to the single page page applications, which should never do the full page thing, which it is happening right now. See that? So let's fix all those things. So this is an introduction to routing. So there is something known as a route segment. So what is that route segment? Is anything you see this, that's the, sorry, right, if you see that, this is the FQDN, fully qualified domain name. So https:// the domain colon including port number, and something you have it after this here, that is our route segment. Like if we want to go to employees, we'll type employees, and if I want to go to professors, we'll type professors. So the employees and professors are route segment. So each route segment should go and hit a route, and in the user interface perspective, it has to go and display the user interface. So it should show that for each route we will map it to a particular screen or a particular page or a component. So at this point of time, we are having these two components. If you come and see the app component, let me close Windows as and when I'm done, so it will be very easy. If you see this, the app employee list and app professors list, those are two components, but at this point of time, those components are being used as a directive. Like how do you have an h1 tag or an input text or some tag? So a component has been used as a directive. Now the component has been used as a directive. Now we want a component to be used as a page. So employees list is a page in itself, and the professor list is page in itself. So from this model, we have to go to the other model. And one question is it always that we need to display every component as a page? It depends upon our use case. So in this screen, if you see that the ratings itself is a separate component, but the rating component is child component of the employee component. So here the rating component is used as a directive. So rating component is used as a directive, and employee component will use it as a page. So let's proceed. Before going there, let's spend 1 minute time on the documentation. I generally use the documentation directly from the web instead of me creating slide or making a summary of these bulleted points. I prefer having a first-hand information directly from the site. So that is the reason I don't do much of a slides directly, demo script and demo. So see this here, app routing. We need to have a navigation with routing. So first thing is we need to create a app routing module. So how do you create an app routing module? You will create ng generate module app routing and flat, and we are asking that this module belongs in app module. Okay, flat puts directly in the app, and app module tells the CLI to register this under app module. So these two things should happen. So once we execute this command, it creates this app module, and once it creates an app module, we have to go ahead and update that to include the router and routes import from this Angular route, and we have to create a routes. So route means as and when we go to this is URL segment. So if someone types the HTTP so and so a fully qualified domain name /heroes, what it should happen, it should go and display the heroes component. So now what is happening is, based on the route segment, we are displaying a component as a page. It's not a component as a directive. We are based on the route segment, we are displaying the component as a page. That means different components will have different route segments. For each route, we are displaying one component. That is, we are creating a single page application everything, the navigation has been hooked up using the routing. Based on the segment, we'll display different components, and then this routes we will import in the imports, and the exports will have the router module. Okay, that's one thing. And okay, I'm sorry, this router module adds directive and provides for in-app navigation. So that's the reason we use this routing. And apart from that, this is from the routing perspective. You'll create a app routing module, and then that module will be imported inside the app module. After doing that one, what will happen is the routes. So we said that each of those URL segment, we are mapping it to a component. And here we have this for route metadata. We'll have all those routes which we have defined there. We'll specify it here. And one thing, after doing that, what happened is we did the mapping. If based on a route parameter, what component has to be done, we have the routing mapping. But where it should display this component, that's the next question. So for that, we have something known as a router outlet attached as a placeholder to Angular dynamically fill based on the current router state. That means what happens is, whatever the component which we have specified there as part of our routing, that component has to be displayed as a placeholder. So as a placeholder, we have to place this router outlet somewhere in our markup. So based on the routing, that particular component will get injected here in this router outlet. Okay, so now that we have little bit of understanding what the things are, let's go ahead and start creating it. So how do we create it? I will come here and open a new terminal, and let me do cd college, and here we'll execute this script. I'm using dry run so that we will understand what it is going to do. So once we execute, and another thing is, while it is giving that, we'll come back and see this. So if you execute this ng new or anything, you want help on any of this command, all we have to do is we have to specify hyphen help. So to understand, like ng hyphen help, so that gives the help on what we can do using this ng. Let's give it a command, couple minutes on that. Okay, did it come? Sometimes it takes time. Okay, see this ng generate module. When we said that app hyphen routing flat module app, so it says that it is going to create an app routing module under app, and it will update the app.module also. So we are okay with that change. I will go ahead and remove the dry run, and you can see that help, it shows action and ng generate. So I need help on ng generate. Using ng generate, what can I do? So I can try this ng hyphen generate. So that shows that, okay, what all the options I can give. Ng generate, okay, ng generate semantic and options. So it tells this collection what all the things I can do, available schematics and options. So default, dry run, force, help, and interactive. So you can create app shell application, a lot of things are there. So we are doing ng generate module, and we did ng generate component. We did we'll do a lot of things in future, but that's the tip. So if you come and see that the app module has been updated, you can see that that's routing which we have included just now, and we have the app routing here also. Okay, that's the first point. We did it. And then coming back is, we have to create a dashboard component, and here I'll come and let me execute the dashboard. Now I'm not executing hyphen dry hyphen run. So anytime you are executing any commands, please use dry run until unless you're not sure what you want to do. It's easy. We can go and always delete the files, but just as a safe tip is to have that ready. So we just created the dashboard also. Here it has created the dashboard. Let's convert that from P1 to H1 so that it will be a little bit bolder when we display it on the page. So after that, what we will do is we'll go step by step. After doing that, we have to go and create this router outlet. First thing is we have to add the route to the dashboard. So route to the dashboard is we have to add this routes there. We have to add this routes. Let me go to the routing and I will add this routing here. Okay, and also we have to do couple of imports which we have seen here. We have to do couple of imports. Okay, that two imports are there. We'll fix that. Just hold on. And also we have to export the router module. So this router module, we need to export that, the router module. Let's do export of the router module, and we will import this routes here. Okay, so we will do the import of that routes. Here we go ahead and do the imports. So we have the dashboard component, the control and dot. So it will bring in those component. So now we have the routing. So what we said that if someone navigates with the URL segment slash FQ fully qualified domain name slash dashboard or directly fully qualified domain name, the default component it will go and display is this dashboard. And after doing that, at this point of time, we are having all these things. So let's directly go and use this router outlet there. And I'm going to do this over here. Okay, so this one I will move so that we'll get some extra space and we'll have more clarity. Okay, so let me switch back to this one and go and see, is there any errors? Are we having any errors in the URL or in the console? We don't have any errors. So we are showing the dashboard. The dashboard works. That's what it's being shown. So now what we will do is we will go ahead and comment these two so that now from now onwards, what is happening is based on the URL segment, we are going and displaying a page. So if I come in here, you can see that it is directly navigating to the page. If I go and display any route which doesn't exist, it will show the error. We'll fix that at last, but not immediately. So let's go. It shows this dashboard. That's good. So the one error, whatever it's there, we will fix it at the end. The page not found. That's the step 8. We are in step 5 now. Okay, at least our application works with single navigation. So dashboard is there. So what we will do is we will fix the dashboard now. So what I will do is come to this home and come back over here and copy this markup. It's just a markup, HTML markup. I will go close all and go to this markup and I'll drop this markup over here and we'll come and we'll see that. So we are seeing that it is placing four different cards on the page. So nothing fancy. Everything is cool. So what we will do is just one more small thing here. I will come and I will use this instead of the other one. I will come and remove this. You'll see that it has centered it and it has nicely placed these 4 cards. So the other routes which we didn't define, so it doesn't work. So the only route at this point of time we have is the dashboard route. So we just created a little bit of facelift on the menu and on the footer, header and footer and the background. And we have our first navigation with this router. and we were able to navigate to the dashboard. So now next we need to work on the employees. So what is the next task? Next task is we need to create the routes for employees. So we already have the components. It is very easy for us to now go ahead and modify that. All we need to come here and add this piece of routing and bring in those imports. Okay, so if I come in here, I happily navigate to those respective screens. You can see this without any flickering. You are not seeing any flickering here, which we saw previously. Right now, we don't have any flickering. All we did is these components were existing previously. All we did is a little bit of routing we have added so that it is nicely displaying this screen. Okay, so employees is the one which let me go to that employee component. I did a very small change there. Here I just added call 12 so that I wanted that to occupy all the 12 columns. That's the one. I just added it over here. So you see this now, even the employees has been properly organized. So within that container, we were able to see this. Now, what is happening is each, based on the route segment, each component is being displayed as a single page. Now this is a single page and this is a single page. And you're seeing that there are no errors whatsoever here in the console. And here in this employees, if you see that the employee list component is acting as a page right now because of this route segment, we are displaying that component. But if you see this ratings, it itself is a component, but here in this context, the rating component has been used as a directive. That means if I go to the employees page, you see that here the component, we are using it as a directive. Here the component is not coming out of the, here the component is not coming out of the routing. Here the component is coming as part of the directive, because this component itself is getting displayed inside a parent component. So this is the we are using it as a directive, not as a individual page, which we did it previously. So let me add this. So I just added that method which was missing. So now there are no red squigglies. So here's, as we discussed, see here the component is being used as a directive because we are using the rating components selector. We are using that selector inside an parent component. That means this component is being used as a directive. But whereas if you see this employee component, if you see this employee list component, if you go to that app routing module, this employee list component as being displayed as a page. When we go to that route segment, it is displaying this employees list in its entirety. So this is a component, we are using it as a page, or a component is being used as a directive. Okay, so that's a pretty good discussion we had it on that. So we did this navigation. Now we will add some kind of spice to this. Let's assume that we are bringing in this employees content from a web server. Technically, that's what we will do. So at least we have to wait for half second on that. Here also we have to wait for half second on that. So how do we do that? Okay, so let's do it one by one. I will close everything so it will be easy for us. First, let's work on the employee. So what we can do is we can move all the things from here into a separate method. So I just created those methods. So let's start doing it. So this is the method which I mean, it's all the hard code. For the next couple of months also, episodes or series of the series will do the hard coded one. Then we'll start with the backend server. The server will host it somewhere in Azure, and we'll bring in this content directly from the Azure. So that way we'll be working with multi-cloud, one in Firebase and one in Azure. So we're calling this method from here. So what is happening is we didn't introduce the latency, but at least we moved the piece ng on init. We said that that's the one which is used to invoke the backend. So this is the exact place where you use to invoke the backend method. And how we introduce this, many methods, many ways to do it, but one of the simplest ways to set timeout is the one which I'm using it. So set timeout, we are doing it. So it introduced a quarter a second, half a second of delay. You can see that here, half a second of there is a delay here. So when I do that, I mean, technically that's what happens, isn't it? When you invoke a backend, it might take a half a second or 1 second or couple seconds a delay to go talk to the backend service, bring the content. They might call the stored procedure or entity framework core or Dapper or ADO.NET, whatever it is. Whatever the ORM or the backend, the middle tier, what they have written, it takes some time for us to get the content. So we have to wait. So how do we be a little bit more interactive is we can go and bring in the spinner. What we can do is we can come back to here and go and open this. At the top, we'll add this spinner. Technically, if you see this, what we are doing is we are having the container, a div, and what we are telling is ng if. This is one of the directives which we have used it previously. So ng if, we are telling that if the employee list is not populated, then show this. So until the employee list is not populated, it will show the spinner. So where it is getting populated, that also we are seeing that for the first 500 milliseconds, the employee list will be null. See this, we just created an employee list. At this point of time, it will be undefined. So until that 5 seconds, this guy goes and spins, 0.5 seconds, this guy goes and shows that spinner, and after 5 seconds, this will get called and it populates the employee list. So let's see that in action. So let's assume you're in here. When we navigate it here, you can see that 0.5 seconds. I'll make it to 1.5 seconds just to see a bigger delay. You can see that. I'll come back to the processes and navigate. So employee list, loading employee list. So that's one. It's 1.5. So I'll make it back to 5 seconds. So it's loading. This is dashboard. So it's loading. So it will be more visual. I mean, some people will show images, some people will show GIF, PNG, or text, whatever it is. So one of the way to be more interactive is to show them that something is happening behind the scenes. So that's one good thing. Now let's replicate the same to our professors list. So come back to this professors list, and at this point of time, all the content is there. So let's move that. The same method we'll do for the professors list also. Inside the professors list, we'll go and invoke this professors list. We'll have the professors list, and the constructor is the wrong place of that placement, and that set timeout should be inside the ng on init. So that's the lifecycle hook which we will use it to bring in the content from the backend systems. So you can see that right now the delay has been introduced, but we didn't add the spinner piece. So the next thing what we will do is we will have a separate div similar to what we had over here. We'll copy this div and come back to the markup or the view, and here I add that. So right now you see that what we are telling is, if the professors list is there, display this, else display this. So technically what is happening is, until the professors list gets loaded, the spinner shows up, and once that professor list got, that object got loaded, the array, then it stops displaying the spinner and again come back to display the table. Okay, and this I didn't add the spinner, that I'm going to do in the next session. We'll do step by step. So we have the spinner, both the spinners, we have the spinners for both professors and this controller. Both the spinners we have added it. Okay, step 7. And now what we will do is, we'll do step 8. We go to step 8. So what is happening in step 8 is, let me open up this here. We don't have any errors. Now what if someone tries to, they are trying to remember and they mistype the URL segment. So at that point of time, you can go and see that this guy is displaying the error. It says that the URL segment professors v cannot be matched in the routes. So whatever the routes which we have defined here, so it's not able to go and locate that particular route here. So multiple things which we can do. There is a wildcard URL segment. So at this point of time, what we will do is, we'll use this wildcard URL segment. So I'll come back here. Wildcard URL segment. I'm at this point of time, what I'm telling is, I'm asking it to go back to the home page. So what it will do is, it will avoid the errors. So if I'm trying to go to professors and I'm trying to go and type professors version 1, so that will fall under the wildcard route. That means we have typed professors v1, so it doesn't match this, it doesn't match this, it doesn't match this, it doesn't match this. So if all the things it doesn't match, so it goes to the wildcard. So what we are telling is, whenever it hits this wildcard, we are telling it redirect to dashboard. Technically we'll redirect to not page not found, but for the time being we are routing it to dashboard. So at least we are not seeing these errors over here. So any wildcard route will get routed to the dashboard. That's good. So next thing what we will do is, we'll create a page not found, a separate page we'll create. So we'll come back to our Visual Studio Code and we'll create, I'm putting it inside the shared folder. The page not found, we are putting it inside the shared folder. So let's wait for a minute. It will come and display, and we need one image. So I have already created that image. It is inside the assets, inside the image. This is the page not found image. So let me copy that and put it inside our folder. So here I'm putting it here. Okay, so I can come back to our I will come back to our coding. You can see this assets under images. Apart from our 3 images, we have the page not found also. Okay, the assets are there, and also the page not found is also available. So now what we can do is, we can go and have our routing configured for the page not found. So what we will do is, we'll add this page not found route here. I'll come back here, and also the order, please ensure that the order should be like most specific to most generic. So this will, if we have this at the top, every time it will go and hit this. So the wildcard should be at the bottom, and all the known routes keep it at the top, and these two better to have it at the bottom. And what I'm telling is here, if someone doesn't give anything in the route, or at that time I want to route it to the home page or the dashboard, and employees professors are there. And if it comes to the wildcard, that means that particular page is not available. We didn't configure for whatever the reason. Either we didn't configure or the route doesn't exist. We will route it to the page not found. Let's come back to this one and let's open up open this console. Let me clear this off, and I'm going to employees, it's displaying. I'm going to professors, it is displaying. I'm coming back to dashboard, it's displaying without any errors. And if I try to navigate to the dashboard one, so it comes to the page not found, but it doesn't display the errors. That's good thing. So the next thing what we will do is we'll go ahead and do a facelift of that page not found. So I'll come back to this. We don't have any styling. All we have is this small markup. So we'll come back to this. Let me close everything and share page not found. Inside this markup, I will add this. Okay, now you can see this. That's a little bit of a small image and a button, and a small beautification, so that we know that we can go click on that. You come here, like I go to professors, I go to employees, and I go to dashboard and do all these things. And if someone tries to reach any page which doesn't exist, we will not go and show them, but we are beautifully navigating them back to the this page. So we can add one small beautification to this one. As we are on mouse over, we can show this one. We can add a small styling to that. Let's try, see if it is working. I can come back to the header and can have over this one and go to the page now. Oh, that's a button. It's not anchor tag. It doesn't make sense. Okay. So that's this one. And here we can do one small thing, as we did it for professors. Instead of home, you see this in professors, instead of the labels, edit and other things, we just added the icons, so that itself is speaking. So we can do one small thing is we can go back to our page, to the top nav bar, and copy this and go back to this page not found. And inside this we can add a home. And okay, so it displays the home page. So I will remove that and just introduce a small space there, and FA-3x. See, okay, so here this itself is speaking, so we don't need to explicitly tell them that home or something, but instead, like if someone tries to navigate to any page which it doesn't exist there, we can come back to this page and we can nicely have this home. And one small thing what I want to do is to flip this here. I mean, it makes sense. Instead of coming to the bottom, even if you're displaying more of the content, the home is at the top location. From the UI usability perspective, we have the button having it on the top instead of having it at the bottom. I mean, it makes sense if the page is too very long, there is a couple of scrolls and user navigates to that bottom. It makes sense to have the bottom of bottom of this page. So to have this reverse navigation or home navigation at both places, at the top and at the bottom. If it is at one screen, it depends upon how do you want your users to have the number of clicks. I mean, it makes easy for someone to locate this here, and different thought process. Someone says that home location should be here, or the navigation should be here or here. It depends upon the UI UX, but let's place it over here, so that we have a decent amount of look and feel. Now you saw that, so we have the dashboard page, we have employees, and we have the spinners, and we have the professors. Why this professors is at 50? One second, let me check that. Why this size is little low? Yeah, it's 50 pixels. Should be good enough. 50 pixels should be good enough. So this is good enough. So we have everything, including the including this navigation for the page not found. That's good. So let's deploy this. And now that we are progressing, like if you see that how did we progress? We started with the hello world, and then we started progressing with the top navigation bar and a little bit of user interface, and then we started having the pages, the card representation, the table representation. Now we have the footer, the design, and the spinner control, including the navigation, little bit of navigation, and the page not found navigation. We have quite a few foundation till now, and it makes sense. In the next session, what we will do is we'll go ahead and start creating the forms. Right now what is happening is we are receiving the content. We are assuming that we are receiving the content from the server or the backend, and we are displaying the content. So now what we will do is, in the next, at this point of time, we are only showing this. We are not showing the ad anywhere. So we'll introduce an ad icon here, and on click of that, let's go and work on a form first to understand a little bit of more basics on that. So let's work on that in the next session. But for now, what we will do is we have to go and deploy this. As every session we are going and deploying it, isn't it? So let's do that deployment. I will close everything here, and before we do that, let's see this one final time. How did our previous session looks? The previous session looks like this. I just capture this and keep it for our reference before we deploy. Okay, so that's the one which we have created. Now how do we do the deploy? So the Firebase is there. Now we need to build it. So I am executing this ng build with the --prod option. So it goes and builds this one, and then we'll deploy. Okay, so please go back and watch all the previous sessions, because we are starting from ground up and building all the foundational blocks, and all the way we'll go to the full stack application, authentication, authorization, paging, filtering, retrieving the content from the backend services. We are going to discuss a lot of things. We will change the look and feel of this. 1 second, we will go and see that how did we were there in the first session. If I come back over here, second session, first session was technically hello world. It wasn't anything too much. Like, this was our look and feel. This is how we were in the first session. This is how we were there in the first session. Now if you can come and see that, how did we progress from the session 1 to what we have today. So you can see that. So that from that model we came back to this model. I mean, slowly we are going to add more features like login, navigation. We just added it, like login details, retrieving it from the server side, error handling, and the application insights, deployment to Azure. Lot of things we are going to discuss, but slowly, step by step, because we need to learn everything from the ground up. So we did a lot of progress from that model to this model. Let's come back and see that did it build this. Okay, it's doing the bundling. And one more thing is, we see this when we execute this bundle, it is going and creating a dist folder. So where is that instruction? So you can see that here when you build it, it uses this options, and the output path is it creates a dist folder college web. That's the output path. So this also we discussed how the bootstrap will happen. So when we build it, we are telling that index file is this index, and the main is main.tx, main.ts. So if you come and check the index.html, you are having this app root. This is a component as a directive. Now the other thing what it says is use the main.ts. It's this ts where it is bootstrapping the app module. So when you come back to this app module, so here you can see this. Here is the one where you have everything, and it bootstraps the app component. Now if you come to this app component, see this, the app root is here. So that's how it does the bootstrap. And when we are building it, how does it selects the name of this folder? That is also given in this angular.json. When under that architect build option, here is the one output folder. If you change the folder name, it changes to something else, but that's a quick recap of what we discussed in session 2 few months ago. So let's go back to our current session, and let's do the deployment. We did that, and let me do the Firebase login. Let me do the Firebase login. Just give us a few minutes. It is doing, and in the meanwhile we can come and check this. You can see the file sizes. This also we have seen in second or third session. The size is pretty much very less, and it does minify a lot of things. It minifies so that it loads very fast. Why it's taking time? How? I don't understand it. Takes ages. Okay, cool. So it's already logged in. Let's go back to our next instruction. We just added it. Now I want to do the Firebase init. Here I've given this in bold. Keep a watch on that. And if I forget, you have to help me out. So we are doing the Firebase init, which I already did it because we are reusing the previous session's code. But just wanted to quickly run through this. So it says that your existing project, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. And we just want hosting at this point of time. We don't want anything else. And what is here? What do you want to use as a public directory? Okay, that one we have to explicitly specify this, because that's where we have built our entire source code, and okay, that will be there. And it says that configure as a single page app. Yes, this is configuring. Set up automatically builds. No, I don't want to set up automatically builds. It says that dist/college web /index already exists. Do you want to override? No, I don't want to override that. And it did the initialization complete. And here Let me copy that. And here, what does this ng11 web app? So that ng11 web app is a project name which we have inside the Firebase. So let me go and do this. So it's deploying that. It's uploading those files because the files are pretty small, and boom, it did deploy. And you can come and see the release history. So let me refresh this. 8th May. So April 18th was the previous release. I did that, and now today it is 8th May. So we can go back to our. We can go back to this one. See, this was the previous one. Now you see we have come back to the new application which we deployed. So I can go back to employees list. I can go back to professors or come back to the dashboard, and I can come back to dashboard 1. So technically it is going and navigating to the page not found. From there I can click on home, and here I can come back to employees and rest of the things. So that's it for this session. So next session we'll have a lot of action where we do cover some of the more concepts of the fundamental blocks, and we'll start creating the forms. So till now, whatever the content which we are getting, we are displaying it. At least we'll build a few more blocks, building blocks, fundamentals, and then we can start integrating with our backend service. So hope you guys have enjoyed the session, and that's it from me.
Thank you, Swamy. That was really helpful, and I believe we are, progressing well in terms of this series. So, thank you so much for doing these, detailed sessions as part of this meetup.
Yeah, I mean, this is only 40%. I think we have covered. Still 7 more sessions, Ritika. Seriously, I mean, when I compare what we were there on session 1 and what we are at this point of time, so we have pretty much even if not like an expert, at least to a decent level, the user interface, we are covering a lot of minute details and UI UX perspective and the color and the technology. A lot of things are getting covered. Like it will be a full stack by end of this year. So I want to cover a few other things. So anyone who follows our series, they will be able to get almost everything what a developer needs to carry on his day-to-day activities on Angular 11.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's totally correct. I mean, I saw you demonstrated what we did in first session compared to what we are doing today. So from there itself, you can get a basic idea of what we are doing as part of this.
Yeah. So I mean, we are taking time, but we are giving a lot of fundamentals, and we are not rushing through showing some big demo and saying that, hey, I'm dusting off my hands. Like, no, we are taking progressive improvement. It's good. Even I'm liking. I hope people also enjoying and learning something new every month in this series.
I hope so that too. Sorry. But right now we don't have any questions on the chat. So, but guys, if you have any questions for Swamy, please don't hesitate to reach out to him on Twitter. I just flashed out his Twitter handle on the screen, so you can connect to him if you have any questions. Please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, Ritika, you can flash this code also on the YouTube so that anyone I sent it that.
I already pasted it on the chat, so your source files, right?
Yeah, exactly. Someone who's following our series, they know that where they can go and grab this code, right? That's true. Cool.
Right. So I mean, I already pasted your source files and your previous sessions. So
Mhm.
if anyone wants to take a look, you can refer it on the chat, or I have also highlighted it on the screen.
Oh, that's pretty great. So, waiting for our next month event. I hope others are
Yes.
also waiting for that.
Yep, definitely. And thank you,
Yeah.
Swamy, for taking the time to present as
Thanks
part
so
of this
much.
event, especially on Saturday. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I love more of these series. I want to do more. So thanks for giving opportunity both Yash and Ritika, uh,
Thank you.
and good job you guys are doing this every month, sharing your knowledge and making a platform for others to share their knowledge and discuss and learn. It's not always sharing; it's learning platform. And really good
Yeah,
job.
definitely. Thank you, Swami. And guys, if any one of you has anything that you want to present as part of our coming meetups, and if you think there is something interesting you would like to share with the group, please reach out to me or Yash, and we can book a slot for you so you can also talk as part of this meetup. So if you have any ideas, please feel free to reach out. And with that, that covers both of our session for today. And we'll see you next week. Stay safe and take care of yourself and your family.
Yeah,
Thank you all.
stay safe, folks, please. Bye.
Thank you.